Hi guys, welcome back to another FSD 12.3.6 video. I am testing a few more things today, so the route I'm going to take is going to be a little bit different. So let's put some directions here. So I'm on the version 12.3.6 and my settings are pretty much the same from the last video. I am still on the assertive settings, and for my pedals I am on the plaid settings, and my automatic speed offset settings are on. Guys, a lot of you watch these videos. It'll be really helpful for me and encouraging if you guys subscribe as well. It helps the channel to grow as well, and it encourages me to make more videos like this. So I'm getting good response, good feedback from you guys. I read all the comments in my last two videos. You guys have some very good discussion points, so I really appreciate that. I agree with some of the things, I disagree with some of the things as well, but again, that's the whole point, right? We people who are using the Teslas, we are just trying to see if this technology is at a stage where it can be relied upon on day-to-day basis and can be used as a service which basically is safe and secure at the same time as well. So we stopped at a stop sign perfectly fine, and moved forward,
Highway 73 ramp on the right.
and now we are on the state highway, and we're gonna be making our kind of a turn. So I've never tried, I think, this route before. Just testing new things, see how this is gonna tackle on this particular road, because if you keep on driving on the same roads too, or same route, things are getting a little bit too much predictable kind. So I just want to see if anything changes when we go somewhere else or drive on a different path. Give us some good idea as well on some of the things about the FSD 12.3.6. okay, as you can see, it was very close to the curb. Didn't hit it, but it was really close. So I think this is the closest I've got so far to the curb. Okay, so the speed limit is 50 here, and FSD is deciding to stay on 55, 54 now. This is basically depending on the automatic speed offset settings that I talked about. So the car, or the FSD, decides what is the most natural speed which it should be driving on, based on the scenario, based on the traffic as well, right? So that's what it's doing. And if you notice, we are changing lanes as well. All of this is done on FSD, so it's making those calls on its own. We'll also have a few red lights here, so it'll give us some idea as well. Usually there is traffic around this time in this area. I'm gonna see how today is gonna be, because it's Friday evening. Might not hit a lot of traffic, so we'll see. So in my last video I also mentioned, right, when your car is slowing down and there's a car in front of you, it's keeping a little bit of a distance. And so one of you gave a very good feedback that it is doing so because you wanna keep some room in case it had to move to the right, or make a adjustment or something, right, at some point, so as needed, right? So good feedback, and I'm learning from you guys too. I'm just making these videos and throwing it out there, but I think a lot of my learning are coming from some of the valuable comments and feedback that you guys are providing, right? And feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on any of the things that I state, because again, like, I started using this technology 6-7 months ago when I picked up the car, so I'm still new to this, I'm still learning. So really appreciate your feedback, both negative and like positive, about the FSD. So as you can see, like, I don't know if you can see from this tiny camera, but I only got like 130 miles to go. I was up in you know, near New York today. This morning I drove there too. So what I noticed on the highway driving, my car was not staying towards the left lane all the time. It I think was mostly like staying in the middle lane this time. Not sure if anything has changed between the 3.5 to 3.6, because I was noticing in the 3.5 version, I think it was, that my car constantly stayed in the left lane, you know, which is like the fast lane on the highway. So when it should have basically, you know, stayed in the middle lane. So but I did not notice that today. So maybe it's something with the 12.3.6 update may have resolved that. And also, like, I understand, like, some of you guys have mentioned that you know, on the highway it's still using the FSD I think version 11 stack. Not sure about that, but you know, I read this in one of the comments from you guys, right? But I definitely saw an improvement, so I'm not sure if it's still the same thing and if it's still running on the version 11 stack for the highway driving, because I did notice like a little bit of improvement, especially the fact that I talked about was not staying all the way towards the left lane. It was mostly in the middle lane. I drove like good 70-80 miles. For a very few, I would say, moments it went into the fast lane and then came back into the middle lane too. So we'll test more on the highway, but today we are still gonna be, you know, sticking to local traffic and local, like, you know, scenarios on how this thing is working, right? And a few of you also asked me what kind of mount I'm using and, you know, what kind of camera setup is it. So this is like a old GoPro Hero 8, and I'm just using the GoPro mount. Pretty much, you know, it's a suction cup which is holding this GoPro. Nothing fancy here. But I encourage you to check some other content out on my channel. This channel is not just about FSD and Teslas. I do make videos about other stuff, including camera gear, drones, and, like, you know, things of technology related items. So, you know, just want to throw it out there. You know, do check some of the content out. I'm still working on a few new videos. Still have to do the review for this thing, Model S Plaid. It's like 6 months that I've been using this car now, and I will provide you my feedback. Look at this, all of this is happening in real time. This is changing lanes on its own, because you know, this lane goes towards the, you know, turnpike. We don't have to go to turnpike this for this drive, so it actually went back into the middle lane. And if you see here, it's a little bit red. So as I mentioned, like, you know, it's usually very busy here. For Friday it's still a little bit busy, I would say. Weekdays are awful and horrible here on this road. But yeah, again, this is all for the purpose of this test. So the red is finishing and we are going into an orange traffic pattern. So it's getting better, and we have to, you know, make a turn too. So this is going to be interesting too, because there's traffic coming from this side merging, and then we have to go in the extreme right lane and then make a right turn. So let's see how FSD is going to handle this situation. So these cars, they are coming, they are trying to come on this side, but we have to go towards the right. I don't see any indicator or anything right now from the FSD. Let's see. This gentleman right on my right side driving the truck is on his phone, and wow, I don't know, there's so much awareness around these things, still people don't understand, and they keep on using the phones while they are driving. Well, still hope your view is fine. Let me just adjust the camera a little bit. Okay, I think it's better right there. So very heavy traffic, but this is a interesting scenario. This truck is also merging towards the left. Perfect. So this is a difficult situation. Let's see what happens and how FSD is gonna handle this. And I'm ready to take over too, just in case. So as I mentioned in my previous videos too, make sure that you're attentive behind the yoke, even when you're using the FSD. It is a great service, but you know, you are still the supervisor here. So keep an eye on everything and be alert and be attentive and be ready to take control at any time. Okay, perfect. So slowly, gradually moving towards the right. Perfect. And handled this scenario like a charm, guys. So again, this is real life example how FSD is performing on daily basis on these kind of scenarios. Okay, so I'm gonna come towards the left lane. This road is a little bit bumpy, and so far the FSD does not, like, you know, care about the potholes or bumps on the road. I wish they will fix that at some point, but I don't want to take a chance. That's why I just intervened and moved my car in the left lane. What do you guys think? Like, is it just me, or you guys are also experiencing FSD not like taking into consideration any potholes or anything that is, you know, on the road which can damage your tires or car? Like, did you guys notice any scenarios like this? If so, like, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll be interested in knowing more about it. So far, my biggest thing that I absolutely hate about FSD in all the versions, they didn't improve that, is, like, you know, the pothole detection, or if there's any, you know, issues with the road, FSD is not like moving towards around it, like it's just going over it, right? So that's a thing that I don't like at all, and I don't see any improvement either, right? So it's still as bad as when I picked up the car to now when we have version 12.3.6, which by far is like the best version of FSD. It's better than all the previous versions, and if you are using version 11 and switch to 12, you will see a visible difference. Okay, so we're gonna make a left from here. I'll try to see if we can incorporate some highway driving today as well. I'll try to go from this place where we're going to, you know, my gym, and I think in that we may hit a highway, and then we'll see how this is gonna perform on the highway as well. So actually, let me just do this right now. I'll just change the directions, and let's just put the directions here, and let's see what happens. Okay,
now
so
turn left onto Harbor Drive.
okay.
In 500 feet, turn left onto Nixon Drive.
I'm wearing a cap and it keeps on hitting the GoPro, so I'm just gonna flip it. Better. So these are, like, again, real life scenarios, right? Day-to-day use of FSD. So I'm showing it to you on busy roads and local roads, highways, you know, or, like, you know, if you are going to your work daily, like, you know, you can see what this thing can offer you and what can you expect, right? But, you know, again, be very careful, as I mentioned. Like, be ready to take control over any time, and be attentive behind the wheel or yoke, whatever you have. Okay. You may also have noticed, like, there were not a lot of nags today, so I don't know if you are paying attention, maybe it's not gonna give you warnings again and again, right? So, but something to notice, I didn't notice like that, like how frequent the nags are in my previous tests as well. I mean, I do see them coming up, but how frequent they are, I never like, you know, kept account of them, or like, you know, how they're working. So there must be some, you know,
In 500 feet,
code running behind it,
take
or logic behind it,
95
to alert the
south right.
driver if, like, you know, FSD or like the internal camera is noticing
Now
something.
turn left to take
So perfect, this is going to be amazing, because now we are going on the highway and we'll test that scenario again where I was mentioning, like, you know, whether it's going to stay on the extreme left lane, which is for going fast, and then also you know, whether it's going to stay on the middle lane. One more thing that I noticed this morning, even when your automatic speed offset is on, when you're on the highway, it's not gonna work, right? So you actually will have, while the setting is on, you will be able to adjust the speed using the scroll wheel here. So I'm not gonna change it. Auto means it's on, but I'll show you when we go on the highway. I'm able to, you know, manipulate like the speed and the set like the maximum speed for the FSD, rather than it picking it up by itself too, right? So it'll pick up something, but I can always override that and change that. While you're doing the local driving, it doesn't give you that option if you have it on. So perfect, we are making a left turn, and from here we are gonna go onto the this ramp and then the highway. Also, as you have seen in my previous videos, I always go to the suspension when you are going on the highway. Model X and Model S, you know, especially with 21-inch wheels, they have extreme rear camber. So if you keep your car on the lowest setting, which it's gonna automatically go to when you hit the highway, which it did, as you can see, I'm gonna change it back to medium. So on medium, it's not as extreme as it's on the low side. And to fix that, like if you want to completely fix the thing, you have to actually install you know, adjustable camber. I don't have anything aftermarket installed at this point. I'm still on the first set of my tires. I'm almost at 4,400 miles now, and I try not to drive the car on the lowest setting. So okay, so now you can see from middle lane it went to the fast lane, and look at this, like I have this ability to override. So let me set it to 70, because the 65 is the speed limit here, and let's see how long it's gonna stay in the fast lane. Somebody is gonna come behind me as well, so let's see. We are going on 70, which is 5 miles over the speed limit, and let's see how FSD is gonna take care of this situation. So it's just gonna go back to suspension 2, still at medium. Once you change it back, if you go on the constant speed, it's not gonna go back to low, unless like you just go really fast, all of a sudden it's gonna drop to low again. So okay, so maybe my observation was wrong. We are still in the fast lane and not coming towards the middle lane, although there are cars in the middle lane. Right now it's not safe to do so, so I'll be careful before I pass on that judgment. Maintaining speed for traffic flow, that's what I'm seeing here. This car is right next to me, and I can definitely not come in the middle lane right now unless I intervene and adjust something myself. But I'll let the FSD do everything while I'm here, making sure nothing funny happens, right? So the car behind me is also getting annoyed. If you notice, this guy is just moving on the lane, on the middle lane actually, because he's probably getting annoyed, and I understand that. So that's the thing, right? This is the fast lane. You should not be driving in the fast lane. So this is something which is also not fixed then. That means I did not notice that in the morning. A lot of traffic behind me, if you've noticed, people are moving in the middle lane and then like overtaking me. So I'm gonna manually try to come in the middle lane now. Actually, let's see. Actually, I cannot, like there's traffic coming, so I cannot do that. But something which we have to consider, right? So I just put the signal for the middle lane, as you can see. But you know, actually we have to take this exit anyways, so I don't know if it would have come here at this point. But you know, this is like, I think the same kind of patch, this road where we tested the same thing before. When I was on the turnpike, the other highway, I did not notice that, like, you know, it was staying in the far left lane. But maybe it is something that is still not fixed, so I may be wrong in some of the things that I mentioned about the highway driving in the beginning of the video. Maybe we are still on the version 11 stack, as some of you pointed out in comments in my previous videos. So it slowed down, although there was a car behind me, but it was a very natural kind of movement, and now it's ready to take that exit that is coming up. So let's see. But I do notice that people are definitely getting annoyed behind me, so that is something, you know, which is also going to create more hate about Teslas. So
Now take exit 32 on the right.
but in this case, FSD is not doing anything wrong. It's following the speed limit, except for the, you know, staying in the far left lane. It should have been in the middle lane, but still, even if you are in the middle lane, people are driving like 15 miles over the speed limit, which is still not right.
Now
So
keep left at the fork.
isn't that like a threat to FSD itself? Like, it's not the fault of FSD, but like humans are making mistakes, and then you know, the FSD is gonna be blamed if something happened. But you know, just my thoughts. I'm just sharing what I saw, what I noticed, right? So you guys also noticing the same things with me while I'm driving. Actually, the car is driving. I'm just sitting here pretty much talking to you guys, yet paying attention to the road. Very important, as I mentioned. Yeah, the point about the extreme rear camber, right? If you drive on low, your tires are gonna wear out very quickly. Some people who have plaids, Model X plaid and the S plaid with 21-inch wheels, have complained that they basically ended up, like, you know, destroying their tires when they were at 6,000 miles to 10,000 miles. So you know, I am being careful from day one not to drive the car on the lowest settings on the highway. Local driving, it always stay on medium, and medium is where your car is aligned when it comes from the company, right? So I don't know if there's any issue like this in Model Y and Model 3. Probably not. I haven't heard any of the issues. It's usually with Model X and S with 21-inch wheels only, not like the 20 or 19-inch wheels. 20-inch wheels are actually for the trackpad. I don't think it comes as an option for Model S unless you go with a track package. So it's usually Model S with 19-inch wheels. The plaid with 19-inch wheels are in, like, you know, not having that kind of issue. So it's only like with 21-inch wheels. Anyways, drive is going good so far, except for what we have noticed on the highway. I think there's a lot of room for improvement on the highway driving, because it should start picking up like the patterns on which like the traffic is moving. I'm not like suggesting it should basically go over 15 miles the speed limit, but it should, or it can go a little bit faster, and it can definitely stay in the middle lane or like the extreme right lane if it needs to follow the exact speed limit, or just go 5 miles over the speed limit. So just a thought. and something to think about for Tesla as well. If they are still using version 11 stack, and then they have updated everything for the city and road driving, I'm sure something might come to update that portion too, because my car basically came with enhanced autopilot when I bought it. So enhanced autopilot is pretty much you have a full self-driving capability on the highway, so maybe it is driving the same way still. I need to check. I need to turn my autopilot full FSD off, and then I have to test like enhanced autopilot and see how that works when you are driving on the highway, whether it is the same kind of thing or whether it's any different. So I'll make a video at some point around that. So we are almost I would say 0.6 miles from our destination. I'm gonna start giving you my final thoughts on what we learned today. So as I mentioned, right, you know, FSD for full self-driving on daily basis, like it came to a point where you can use it on daily basis without like much of a concern around like how it's gonna handle different scenarios. We actually have been testing different situations. We drove it in rain, we drove it at night, we gave it, you know, challenging situations to drive on you know, busy roads, local roads. If you see my last two videos, we had like some interesting scenarios in those two, and it handled everything well. So as long as you're paying attention, I think you'll love full self-driving, and you can basically incorporate that in your daily driving. It is like a great feeling when like the car is driving by itself and you don't have to intervene a lot, as long as you're paying, you know, full attention. For highway driving, as I mentioned, right, so I drove to a location near New York today, around like almost drove 80 miles. I did not notice the car staying in the extreme left lane the whole time. It was in the middle lane for most part, but then when we came onto a different highway, we tested it here, the things were not like the same. It was staying in the far left lane, and you know, people behind us were getting annoyed, and they started overtaking us by going into the middle lane and then crossing us, right, and then coming back into the left lane. But that is you know, something which I'm gonna keep an eye on. I'm gonna still test. Some of you guys have mentioned that, you know, it might be still V11 stack for the highway driving. I'm not sure, so need to, you know, get some more information around that. Yeah, but definitely I see there's some room for improvement on the highway driving when it's really busy. You know, it needs to, you know, react, or like I would say there's some more scenarios or like, you know, logic need to be built into, you know, this, so that like don't always stay in the fast lane. If it's driving or following the speed limit, need to come on the right, extreme right lane, right? So that's what I'm just gonna say, right? Other than that, keep your feedback coming, guys. I really appreciate. I read all the comments, and you guys have very good, valid points. I really value that. Please also consider subscribing, because I try to make these videos for you guys regularly, and again, like as you guys provide your feedback, I try to test different scenarios as well, right? So on that note, I'm gonna finish this one, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. For now, goodbye and stay safe. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk again very soon.